What's going on, PPG? It is your boy Javi, and today's video is going to be about what is credit and how is it important. Credit is probably the most important and influential thing that will happen to you in this country, if you live in the United States, of course, and around the world. So all the developed countries have this thing called the credit score, and what that basically is a system for them to be able to know how worthy you are with finance. So people who have bad financial habits, meaning you don't pay your bills on time, or you pay them late, or you don't pay them at all, or you abuse the amount of money that you're lent, you'll have a lower credit score, and you won't have access to the same funding moving forward. Which sucks. Nobody wants to be in that position. People want to have access to money to be able to do things. Some of the most important and notable things that you can do with a credit score are as follows. I mean, you go to, for example, a T-Mobile store, or you go to a Sprint store, and you walk in and you want the newest iPhone. Let's say that you don't have the $1,000 or the $1,100, $1,200 to get the best phone that comes out. You can finance it. If you have good credit, you can finance it, and they let you make a small monthly payment on top of whatever your bill would be, and you can walk out of the store with the brand new iPhone for probably a couple $100, which is way better than shelling out the entire $1,000 or $1,100 or $1,200. Now there might be a small interest rate, but that gives you time. The most important thing that credit allows you to access is time. If you don't have all the money up front, you can spread it out over a longer period of time, which would give you more time to be able to, let's say, save up the money from working. Or if you have a business, you can save up the money and you can be able to buy that. It gives you the time to be able to do that. And freedom is number one. Another thing you use credit for, if you want to buy a car, if you want to finance a vehicle, they are going to ask for your credit score. If you don't have a good credit score with history, you know what I mean? You have to have a credit history as well. You need to show that you've been lent money, that you have had lines of credit open before, and that you are worthy enough to be able to have this new line of credit. Because a new vehicle that you're going to be financing or leasing or buying outright is going to affect you. So as well as buying a home. Even if you want to move into an apartment. Nowadays, a lot of apartment complexes and apartment homes and townhouses, a lot of landlords are credit checking you. I've literally never met a single landlord who does not run their tenants' credit prior to allowing them to stay there, to rent there. And why is that? Well, that is because looking at a person's credit history is probably one of the most intimate things that you can do. You can tell a lot about their financial habits, what they spend their money on, what they don't spend their money on, how responsible they are with the lines of credit that they've been given, and if they're likely to, screw you over in the process of living there. How many people do you know that have rental properties that their tenants are not paying rent? I mean, that sucks. People, you know what I mean? That at the end of the day, that is a business. There's an incentive to have people rent out your properties. House hacking. A lot of people know about house hacking, where you buy a duplex or a triplex or a quadplex and you rent out the other three or the two or the other one, and you live in the one for free, technically. They will run your credit. So if you don't have a good credit history, or if you're not trustworthy with the credit that you do have, they're not going to lend to you. They're not going to give you the opportunity. Think of your credit score as the equal amount of opportunity that you will have. The higher the credit score, the higher of the opportunity cost that you'll have to be able to get things done. So back to what other things that you can do with your credit. On top of getting an apartment, buying a house, financing mortgages as well. If you are a person who wants to get into real estate for having rental properties, you need to have a strong credit score, because that's going to be the first thing they're going to do before they give you a dime. So if you don't have a good credit score, then that's not going to be effective, because they'll see you as a risk and they'll decline you, which is another huge point here that I want to make to all of you. When you have a low credit score and you apply for other lines of credit, knowing, or maybe a lot of times people don't know that this is happening. This is kind of like one of those secrets that is like, don't tell everybody, because if this got out, people would change the way that they do things. So when you apply for a credit card, let's say, which is a hard line of credit. So what do I mean by a hard line of credit? A hard line of credit. Have any of you guys ever have been pre-approved for a credit card? Or they send you those junk things in the mail to try to get you to, sign on to their credit card, and they'll give you X amount of dollars for free after you spend whatever it is? It's all bull. What it is it's a way for you to get that inquiry, because when you have a hard line of credit, what they do is they run your credit. It's a hard inquiry which shows up on your credit report. When you are pre-approved, when you go through, for example, let's say that you want to apply for the Apple Card. When you apply for the Apple Card and you're pre-approved for that Apple Card, it is a soft inquiry. So what is a soft inquiry? What's the difference? You're like, Javi, you're losing me. The soft inquiry is where you're pre-approved for that credit card. So when you fill out the application, there's not a hard pull on your credit, which means when you get a hard pull on your credit, that can lower your score. Now, it could be anywhere between 2 to 25 points, but for somebody who has a 700 credit score, that's the difference between being in the 670s, 680s to 700s. So when you move forward and you look at that and you say, listen, I want to go for, an apartment, or I want to go for a car or something of that sort, there's a big difference there. And that will matter. Those few points matter. Even just a small 5 to 10 points in your credit score between 700 and 690 and 695, that matters, because that is how they determine your credit worthiness. So that's another point that is very important for people to know. And they won't tell you that because it's a disincentive. They're going to disincentivize you to go around shopping. Now, there are ways to combat that. So one of them would be, if you get a certain amount of inquiries, for example, within the same week, I believe it's 2 weeks, they will count. For example, if you go to, if you're mortgage shopping, so if say you're trying to buy a house, right? So you're going to go to different banks to try to get financing for the loan to purchase your home. Banks and the credit industry will give you a leeway. So if you do those 7 to 10 inquiries within the same 10 to 14 day period, that it will show up as one hard inquiry, instead of, let's say you go to 6 different banks and 6 different banks run your credit. Instead of having 6 different hard inquiries, you'll have one. And that is a huge difference, because remember, like I said, it goes back to your credit can tank the more inquiries that you have. So it's important that you have your inquiries low, or if you are going out there into the market and you're shopping around for the best deal for whatever it is that you're trying to make a purchase, make sure that you do the inquiries within a short amount of time, so that it will not affect you in a negative light too much. Because at the end of the day, if you have to have your credit ran. If you want to get things done in this nation, you have to have your credit ran. It's just inevitable. But there are ways that you can go about it to mitigate your risk and your credit moving forward. So with that said, this is PBG. And we will continue to bring the best content related to finance and credit and everything in between for free. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.